It seems like I just bought Synth Anthology 3 not that long ago. Along with a couple of other plugins, it has become one of my go-to sources for both vintage and modern synth sounds on a lot of my music. Although I've owned this plugin since version 2, I've never done a full review. We will correct that oversight right now.
Don't let the master ride you. The master. Don't let the master.
Full disclosure, I purchased my own copy of SA4 the day it was released, and UVI has not seen or had any say over this review. I try to be as honest as I can on these reviews, however, so if something is a steaming pile of garbage, I will let you know, and if I don't like the workflow, or frankly anything about a plugin, I will say something. Let's look at the stats. For $149, you get the following. That's impressive, and I can't wait to dive in. To start, let's pick apart the interface and compare it to SA3, because there is a huge difference right off the bat. Both SA2 and 3 had some things that I didn't care for in the UI department. The SA3 interface was very similar to SA2. It was decent but not great. There were a few too many screens, and the workflow to change things was just okay. I did like the presets and the fact that you can look at these either by sound type or patches from each instrument. This is helpful because most of the time, I want a specific type of sound, but sometimes I want a specific synth, or a synth from a specific era. Let's say a wavetable synth over an analog synth. This feature is still present in SA4, so no worries there. The overall look of SA4 has grown on me. I didn't like it a lot at first, but after working in it for a while, I found that it's got a few tricks up its sleeve. It's definitely a step up from SA3, which looked too much like it was born in the 1980s, even though it incorporated synths from 5 decades. I'm a big fan of the new crossfade knob. That's this thing right here, especially because you can modulate it with these 3 knobs. This is similar to what other manufacturers are doing, especially looking at Arturia's new augmented line of hybrid plugins. But unlike the Arturia instruments, modulation features for the crossfade knob are right on the main page, which is better in terms of workflow. There are quite a few things that make this interface great. 1. I'm not forced to use the UVI sound bank list on the right if I don't want to. I can just rifle through the patches using the arrow keys here. This provides very fast load times if you stay inside the UI. That's a pretty nice workflow enhancement right there. 2. The new futuristic line art picture of each synth is pretty slick. Hardcore synth lovers will recognize a lot of these right off the bat. It's also cool to see what some of the oddball synths look like. You know, the ones that nobody has heard of before except for the 3 people who originally bought them. 3. I also really like seeing the patch name, the actual name of the synth, and the year it first came out. This is a great addition for those new to the synth world, or those who haven't studied its history. 4. The new Proximity Explorer is absolutely fantastic. Basically, it uses AI to provide similar sounds from the sample bank to pair with the other synth. And if you don't like any of the choices, just hit the refresh and you get all new sounds. If you're like me, you'll waste hours of time trying out new sounds this way, and the suggestions that the machine gives you are really good. Absolute kudos to UVI on this. Finally, there are little things, like the huge A and B on each screen, so visually you always know where you are, the FX and back button tabs on the side, and the look of the knobs and sliders that make this easy to use. Oh, and it's pretty easy to figure out. I haven't needed the manual yet, but there is one, and it's well done. I think that UVI made a lot of really nice improvements, and I give SA4 a 17 out of 20. If you are not familiar with UVI instruments, you really should check out their offerings, because the content you get from the boys from France is almost always top-notch. From the competition, there are a number of boutique synth plugins that sound fantastic, but quite a few of them really lack significant content, giving you only 100 or so presets for instruments that cost anywhere from $20 to even $100 or $150. While these may sound great and offer a specific vibe, the price-to-content ratio is pretty lacking, and it's kind of like going to Walmart and buying the top-shelf 53 cents an ounce, non-GMO, gluten-free, nuts and berries cereal instead of the 18 cents per ounce mini-wheats. If you want that top-shelf content at a great price, SA4 has you covered. That's 2.225 cents a preset at the sale price. A $50 plugin with only 100 presets is 50 cents per preset. That's 22.5 times more expensive. If we're talking cereal, It's like paying $67 for a box of Raisin Bran instead of 3. And by the way, if you are interested, the list of presets takes up a full 12 pages of the manual, and the layer sound list takes up 9. If you are upgrading, the additional preset numbers aren't quite as good since SA3 had around 3,500 patches. So you only get 500 new presets to try. Only. Still pretty good numbers. But what's really worth it is the number of new synths added to the SA3 list. This is the list per my reckoning. Still pretty good numbers. That is impressive. I count around 70 new synths, although my numbers could be slightly off because the SA3 designations don't always match the SA4 designations. A couple of standout synths that are now included are 4 new Arturia synths, the ASM Hydra synth, the Udo Super 6, the Modal Argon 8 and Cobalt 8, and this thing. I'm not even sure how to pronounce that without swearing at you. Here are a couple of patches from some of the new synths. There is absolutely nothing to complain about in the content department. In fact, quite a few other plugin manufacturers could learn some things from this approach to plugin design. This is a UVI instrument. I would put quite a few UVI products in the S tier for sound quality, along with Omnisphere and a few others. But UVI is now owned by ImageLine. Has this changed anything? Let's listen to a couple of patches and see. UVI doesn't disappoint again, and this plugin is full of fat sounds, thin sounds, loads of different timbres, and everything in between. It gets a 20 out of 20 for sound quality. As always, this is a tough category to call. One rating method I use is to see how easy it is to make a custom title track for the video I'm creating. For this title track, it took maybe a half hour. That's pretty quick. Not having to search around forever for a sound is also good, because that can be an inspiration killer. UVI makes this easy by having the patch broken out by type and by machine, and further having a 3-letter key in the patch name. What is even more helpful is the Proximity Explorer, which can do things like help you fit a sound in a mix and quickly go through variations of a theme. When I was using SA4, sometimes I would want a specific sound, and then I would stumble onto a totally different sound that ended up being either as good or better than what I was originally thinking. When a large number of patches either sound really good or provide a song hook right off the bat, then the inspiration meter goes up. Finally, the ability to use effects, modulators, and EQ to sculpt a sound into one that you are imagining in your head is also helpful. SA4 pretty much hits the nail on the head with all of these things, and the score should reflect this. I give it an 18 out of 20 for innovation, inspiration. A lot of plugins usually stumble when we get to the sound design portion of our reviews. Sometimes this is by design, as certain manufacturers want to simplify, and complexity can lead to choice overload. UVI doesn't shy away from overchoice, and Falcon is probably one of the most complex synths I own. I would not change this in a second. If you're just using the UVI workstation, SA4 doesn't give you nearly the array of options that Falcon has, but there are definitely more options if you're comparing this to SA3. You of course have the typical layer commands with ADSR, filter, pitch, and unison options. What is really nice is the 2 LFOs and 2 step sequencers that you can easily dial in with the little colored knobs. This lets you easily modulate and assign things to the mod wheel. Unfortunately, you can't assign much to Aftertouch, which is a letdown. Most keyboards have Aftertouch, and UVI has a habit of not providing many Aftertouch-rich features in its products. New to SA4 is the ability to modulate the layer effects, which is great. All of these little colored knobs here mean that you can modulate a lot of stuff, which makes this unmodulated sound turn into this. I'm a fan of the UVI Chorus effect, but in SA3, you can only affect the speed and depth, but not the mix. Same with the phaser. This was a problem because most of the time you don't want a full-blown chorus. And to turn it down, you had to go into Falcon. Luckily, that issue is solved in SA4. Finally, the arpeggiator also gets a bump in features, as you can now adjust the mode, pitch, octave, gate, and pan of each of the steps. I like the new chord identifier at the top, although sometimes it fails at the really complex 11-finger chords.
The numbers all go to 11.
Overall, there are a lot of new sound design features. It's not quite as robust as something like Pigments, which has more modulation options, but also does not sound nearly as good. This is probably in part to keep the interface simple and also to get you to buy Falcon, which you should, because it's totally worth it. Without Falcon, we're going to knock a few points off and give it a 17 out of 20 for sound design. In summary, this is an incredible package from UVI, as they get a total score of 93 out of 100. The new crossfade knob and proximity explorers are a big deal if you are upgrading from SA3. Changes to the effects, including the modulation options, are great. The arpeggiator improvements are nice, and the multiple quality of life improvements are really helpful. If you are new to Synth Anthology 4, this is in the must-buy category, no matter what type of music you are making, unless it's like Mongolian throat singing. You just cannot beat the quality of the sounds, number and variety of synthesizers, and number of presets, especially at the sale price. If you are upgrading from SA3, this is also a no-brainer. Almost 70 new synths for $50 with the addition of the crossfade knob and proximity explorer is huge. So a big thank you to UVI for continuing to make great products. I'm hoping that we will see enhancements of this magnitude when Falcon 4.0 is released, maybe later this year. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Stick around to listen to some more patches, hit that like and subscribe, and we will see you on the other side of the mountain.